Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful Easter weekend and looking forward to speaking to our active duty personnel, veterans. Hope everybody tuned in. This is exciting. We had a live yesterday. We're going to do sort of a remake today of yesterday. Um, we're introducing the I-CORP AI training program. Now, here's a wonderful thing. The first thing that I'm going to show today is the AI itself. And if you're listening in the chat box, if you have a question when you hear something, put the question in the chat box. I'll interrupt the AI that's doing the explanation to you, and we'll ask your question and get it answered. Now, the unique thing about I-CORP is the fact that it's not one size fits all. It's different. It grows with you. It goes in the direction that you send it. It grows and thinks like you tell it to think. For me, I'm doing AI to teach veterans. I'm doing a transition from civilian or from military to civilian life. All right. AI is a big thing now. Well, also on the Veterans AI platform, we have a resume writer. You plug in your information, you plug in your MOS, you plug in your schools, and guess what? It translates. As soon as you hit that translate button, it translates everything from military speak to civilian speak. If you've ever tried to explain to a civilian that's never put on a uniform what you did in the military, they get this deer in the headlights look. Thank you for your time. Now, just a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, I came across and had a nice conversation with a retired E7. He had filled out multiple applications explaining, who he was, what he did, everything, but it was all in military speak. He got job offers. He got a bunch of job offers, but they were entry level. They were entry level. Start in the mailroom here, sweep this warehouse, do this, do that. We can have you learn some data entry stuff. And he said, no way. I'm proud of that man because he went out and started his own business. And you'll see it on the Veterans Learning Center platform. The point is, he did not let somebody else define him. He knew who he was. He knew what he was worth, and he went after it. And I wish him all the best. And as we create different tools and programs to go on this platform, I hope he uses them, and I hope it springs him forward. With that, let me introduce Veteran AI Learning Center I-CORP program. And I want you to listen very closely because it's unbelievable that the way this sounds. This is AI explaining our program to you, and then we'll go in.
Paragraph.
Oh yeah, it sounds totally authoritative.
Right. It feels almost like magic, doesn't it? I mean, the grammar is completely flawless, the tone is deeply assured, and as humans, we naturally just want to treat those outputs as hard, indisputable facts.
We're practically wired to believe it when it sounds that good.
Exactly. But if you actually use AI for your job, you have almost certainly felt it. That secret lingering terror.
Oh, the fear of the hallucination.
Yes, the creeping fear that the AI is going to just invent a statistic out of thin air and you're going to put it in a presentation or publish it to a client and it is going to absolutely ruin your professional reputation.
And honestly, that anxiety is entirely justified when you look at the actual architecture of a large language model.
Because they aren't truth machines, right?
Right, not at all. We are dealing with systems that are fundamentally designed to generate plausible text, not to verify truth. They are, at their core, just prediction engines.
Just guessing the next word.
Exactly. They predict the next word in a sequence. And sometimes they predict that a totally hallucinated, fabricated number looks really, really good in a sentence.
Which is terrifying. But the topic of today's deep dive is a program designed to kill that exact fear permanently.
Yeah, this is some seriously impressive stuff.
It really is. We are looking at the I-CORP program, which stands for the Intelligent Cognitive Operations and Reasoning Protocol. We've got a massive stack of their internal training manuals, their self-paced learning packs, grading rubrics, and the capstone requirements from this incredibly rigorous curriculum.
And rigorous is almost an understatement here.
Seriously. The mission of this deep dive is to shortcut your path to using AI safely, effectively, and professionally. The goal here is to transform you from a passive consumer of AI outputs into an elite precision operator.
Yeah, looking through these I-CORP materials, it is immediately clear that they do not mess around. Their entire operating doctrine rests on 5 core pillars.
Okay, let's hear them.
So you have clarity, evidence, safety, repeatability, and coaching over rescuing.
Coaching over rescuing, I like that.
Right. They aren't teaching prompt engineering as some sort of party trick. They are essentially teaching human operators how to build a fortified fence around these language models so they can actually be trusted in high-stakes corporate environments.
Okay, let's unpack this because it really starts with what I-CORP calls the foundational skill, which is distinguishing claims from evidence.
Crucial distinction.
Right. According to their manuals, every single statement you look at in an AI output is basically either an opinion, a claim, or evidence. And we need to define those.
Let's do it.
So an opinion is purely subjective, like saying, this is a great software product.
Sure.
A claim is asserted as a fact, but it currently has no proof attached to it. So like, our software increases revenue by 40%.
Sounds great, but where's the proof?
Exactly. And evidence is a verifiable fact with a highly traceable source. So evidence would be something like page 14 of the internal audit from the 2024 pilot program shows a 40% revenue increase.
And that distinction right there is the bedrock of their entire program. Because an AI will blend opinions, claims, and evidence so smoothly together that your brain just glosses right over the gaps.
You don't even notice it happening.
You really don't. And the manuals emphasize that a claim exists in one of 3 states.
Okay.
First is unknown, meaning no data exists to prove or disprove it. Second is false, meaning it is directly contradicted by existing evidence. Or third, it is unverified.
Unverified.
Right. And I-CORP makes this massive, bolded distinction in their training. They explicitly say unverified does not mean probably true.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because AI outputs are overwhelmingly just unverified claims wearing a suit and tie.
Exactly. It sounds professional, but it's empty.
It's like relying on AI without checking is like having a brilliant, eager to please intern who constantly makes up numbers just to keep you happy. You have to verify everything they hand you.
That is the perfect analogy. And to manage this, I-CORP introduces a tool called the assumption log, which they actually call the most important living document in the entire program.
The most important.
Yeah, you literally have to log every single assumption the AI makes, what triggered that assumption, the risk to a project if it's wrong, your specific verification plan, and the current status of that verification.
But wait, hold on. A massive log of every single assumption.
Every single one.
That sounds completely exhausting. I mean, the entire reason we use AI is to gain unprecedented speed, right? If I have to spend 20 minutes filling out a spreadsheet for every single paragraph the AI writes, haven't we just defeated the whole purpose?
What's fascinating here is that I-CORP completely flips the script on what speed actually means in a professional setting.
Okay, how so?
Well, the goal of the assumption log isn't to force you to verify everything instantly. You simply can't. Like you said, it would bottleneck the entire operation.
Right, you'd never get anything done.
Exactly. The real goal is to stop assumptions from hiding in plain sight. Think about it. If you don't track an assumption about, say, a target demographic and a marketing plan, you just forget it exists.
Oh, and then it gets baked into the final strategy?
Yes. Then, a month later, when the campaign launches and completely fails, you have absolutely no idea where the failure originated. The assumption log ties directly back to their doctrine pillar of safety.
Ah, knowing what happens if things go wrong.
Right, you need to know the blast radius if an assumption turns out to be wrong. Writing it down doesn't slow you down, it actually prevents catastrophic rework, and massive client fallout later on.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, if the first step is recognizing that our eager intern loves to guess and make unverified claims, the logical next step is building a fence around its brain so it literally cannot guess in the first place.
Exactly.
Which brings us to how I-CORP actually constrains the machine.
And they start by aggressively moving operators away from what they call weak prompts.
Which is what most of us use, right?
Unfortunately, yes. A weak prompt is something you see every single day, like write a blog post about digital marketing.
Guilty as charged.
Right. But that gives the AI massive sprawling freedom to drift, to hallucinate, and to just invent things. Instead, I-CORP uses a strict prompt frame that requires 4 non-negotiable elements.
Okay, what are they?
You must explicitly state the intent, the context, the constraints, and the output specification.
And reading through the rubrics on this, the constraints part is where the real magic happens.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they don't just mean saying something basic like keep it under 500 words. They mean explicitly telling the AI what it is forbidden to do.
Yes, negative constraints.
Right. For example, do not use any statistics from before 2023, do not use bullet points, and do not use the word synergy. You are putting up hard guardrails. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, they go way further than just one prompt.
Because they don't even stop at one highly constrained prompt. They teach that you must build an entire prompt chain.
Because a single prompt is basically a single point of failure.
Right. We aren't just giving the AI a one-off task anymore. We are building a miniature factory assembly line inside the AI, complete with a ruthless quality control inspector.
That's a great way to visualize it.
So you start with the generator prompt, which writes the initial draft based on your constraints. Then, instead of reading it yourself, you feed that draft to a critic prompt.
And the critic is brutal.
It is. The critic's only job is to evaluate the text against 5 to 7 strict pass or fail acceptance criteria. It just spits out pass or fail for each rule with a brief note. Then the critic's notes go to a completely separate rewriter prompt to actually fix the draft.
It's a closed loop.
Yeah, but I was reading this chain structure and wondering, why separate the critic and the rewriter? I mean, why can't the critic just find the mistakes and fix the draft itself to save a step?
So that separation is actually a brilliant detail in their grading parameters. And it comes down to a concept they call scope control.
Scope control. Okay.
Yeah, because if you allow the critic prompt to actually rewrite the text, it loses its objectivity. It starts making creative choices to try and fix the problem. And the moment it gets creative, it begins to drift from the strict acceptance criteria.
Oh, it starts guessing again.
Exactly. The critic must be a ruthless, mechanical judge. It only flags errors. The rewriter must only fix exactly what the critic flagged and nothing else.
It's pure engineering. You are compartmentalizing the AI's brain so it can't get distracted.
And this raises a really important question about their doctrine of repeatability. You might build this beautiful chain, but how do you actually know it works consistently?
Right. What if it was just a fluke?
Exactly. So I-CORP requires rigorous consistency testing. You have to run your prompt chain 3 separate times with the exact same input.
3 times?
3 times. And if it doesn't achieve an 80% consistency rate across your pass-fail criteria, meaning it produces wildly different structures or quality levels each time you run it, your prompt is considered under constrained.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to go back and rewrite your instructions. If a prompt works once, but you can't reliably reproduce that success, to I-CORP, it simply doesn't count.
But as the source material warns in bold letters, consistency without accuracy is just reliable wrongness.
That is such a great line.
It really is, because you can have a perfectly engineered assembly line that flawlessly produces absolute garbage every single time.
Exactly.
So once we force the AI to follow instructions, how do we ensure the information it's using is actually true? Like, how does I-CORP handle the actual data?
They handle it through a deeply formalized verification engine, which centers around something they call the verification ladder.
Okay, what's the ladder?
They essentially force operators to rank the reliability of their sources before the AI is even allowed to touch them.
Makes sense.
So at the very top, you have primary sources. That's your raw data, original SEC filings, direct interview transcripts. Next down are reputable secondary sources, like peer-reviewed academic journals.
Okay, still solid.
Yeah. Then below that are general secondary sources, like major news outlets or trade magazines. And at the absolute bottom are tertiary sources.
Which would be things like Wikipedia, random listicles, or ironically summaries generated by other AIs.
Precisely. And relying exclusively on tertiary sources is a massive red flag. It is actually an instant failure in their grading rubrics. You are basically building a house on sand.
And what I found wild was how they handle it when those sources disagree. Because in a normal workflow, if you are prepping a brief and you find 2 articles that
Oh, wait. Someone wants to join. Hey, go for it.
Yeah, I have a question. Why even use tertiary sources in your research to begin with?
That is a great, super practical question.
It is, because if they are the bottom rung, why bother looking at them?
Well, you shouldn't rely on them for evidence, but they have a crucial function at the very beginning of a project.
Okay, tell us about that function.
Tertiary sources are excellent for context and discovery.
Oh, so they give you the lay of the land quickly.
Exactly. They help define the scope and terminology.
You use Wikipedia to find the jargon, basically.
Yes, or to find the right name of the person who conducted the original study, the primary source.
So they are a starting point, not a destination.
Precisely. They are the initial map, and your job is to use that map to find the verified sources.
That distinction makes the hierarchy clearer. The problem isn't the source existing, it's trusting it as evidence.
Right. If the claim you care about is only backed by a tertiary source, you flag it as unverified and start the hard work of digging up the primary data.
Okay, let's get back to the sources themselves, because we were just about to talk about what happens in a normal workflow if you find two articles that contradict each other on, say, a market size.
Human nature is to just pick the one that supports your argument.
Right. You just pick the one that makes you look good and ignore the other. But I-CORP explicitly forbids ignoring contradictions to create what they call a false consensus.
You can't just sweep it under the rug.
No, you literally have to log both conflicting sources in an evidence log and write down a clear reconciliation process. You have to decide which one to use based strictly on the quality of the source on that verification ladder we just talked about.
Not your personal preference or which one tells a better story.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the broader picture of managing uncertainty, what happens when you just can't find the data at all?
The AI's natural instinct is to guess.
Right. And a normal human operator's instinct is to vaguely hedge their bets. But I-CORP enforces the use of what they call a confidence note.
Oh, let's show what that looks like, because the contrast here is staggering.
It really is night and day.
So a normal hallucinated AI output sounds like the global market will reach $50 billion by 2025.
A human trying to cover their bases will write something like, estimates suggest the market might reach 50 billion.
Vague and noncommittal.
Exactly. But the I-CORP operator is trained to explicitly flag the gap. They would write, this $50 billion projection is unverified.
A primary SEC filing from the parent company is required to confirm this metric.
Which is so much stronger.
Yes, it explicitly moves that claim from unverified to flagged unknown.
I love the concept of the confidence note, but let me play devil's advocate here on how this applies in the real world.
Sure.
Because in business, we are practically trained from day one to project total confidence. You never want to sound like you don't have the answers.
That's the culture, yes.
So won't explicitly telling a client or your boss, I don't know, make you look totally incompetent?
It feels incredibly counterintuitive, I know, but it actually does the exact opposite.
Really?
Yes, because true professional authority isn't built by simply saying impressive things. It is built by proving you can do exactly what you say.
Delivering a highly aspirational, confident claim that later turns out to be false destroys trust instantly.
Trust is the ultimate currency of business. By stating exactly what data is missing and naming the exact source that would be required to verify it, you demonstrate professional competence.
You're showing your work.
Exactly. You are proving to the client that you have a rigorous, unbreakable standard for truth.
You're not just a content creator anymore, you're a risk manager.
Precisely.
And this builds into what I-CORP calls a proof library, which establishes 3 non-negotiable guardrails for all content.
Which are?
No unverified claims, always cite your sources, and always disclose your assumptions.
Those are the non-negotiables.
So if you follow all this, you now possess a highly valuable skill. You can generate accurate, verifiable, and consistent output.
Which ties back to the doctrine of evidence.
It does, but doing it manually for one client project is just a neat trick. Doing it flawlessly for 50 clients a week, that is a real business.
That's the dream.
Right, but how do you scale this operation without the quality completely collapsing under the weight of volume?
And that is the internal problem of operations. Scaling usually breaks quality because people simply demand more speed and they start stripping away the verification checks.
They cut corners.
Exactly. But I-CORP teaches operators to scale in the exact opposite direction. They introduce 3 strict QA gates for production workflows.
Okay, break those down for us.
First is the pre-flight gate. This happens before the AI even generates a single word. It catches input errors, misaligned client briefs, or missing source files.
Catching a junk before it goes in.
Right, garbage in, garbage out. Second is the output QA gate, which is specifically designed to catch factual errors and includes a mandatory evidence gate.
Where every claim must be wrapped to that proof library you mentioned.
Correct. So it physically cannot pass without a citation.
And third is the final polish gate, which strictly handles formatting, tone, and packaging.
This is where version control lives too.
So what does this all mean when you're actually managing a team or a heavy workload? Because they talk heavily about scaling with metrics, and they insist on having both leading and lagging indicators.
Yes, the metrics are huge here.
When I was reading this, I thought about it like driving a car. Using only lagging metrics like your client satisfaction score or your rework rate after a project is already delivered is like driving a car while exclusively looking in the rearview mirror.
You're just looking at where you've been.
Exactly. It only tells you where you've already crashed. The leading metric is your windshield. It tells you that you are about to hit a wall.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
So, for example, if you see your pre-flight QA failure rate suddenly ticking upward, that's your windshield telling you that your inputs are getting messy.
And a massive crash in client deliverables is coming next week.
That windshield analogy perfectly captured the mechanics of their risk management. You cannot manage scale by reacting to failures.
You manage it through a formal risk register.
Okay, a risk register.
Yeah, operators have to score potential risks by multiplying the likelihood of it happening by the impact it would have.
Simple math.
Right. And for the top 5 highest scoring risks, you must have a concrete mitigation plan.
And crucially, that plan must include an early warning signal, which connects directly back to your windshield, your leading metrics.
So you see it coming miles away.
Exactly. Scaling successfully means designing a QA system that scales with your volume. You achieve this through smart sampling strategies.
Maybe you don't check every single document, but you randomly audit 10%.
And strict escalation triggers so your standards don't slip.
Right, ensuring your AI guardrails never degrade as your throughput increases.
And to make sure those guardrails hold, you standardize the work through SOPs, standard operating procedures.
But I-CORP's quality standard for an SOP is absolutely brutal.
Oh, it's intense.
They use what they call the stranger test.
An SOP is only considered valid if a complete stranger who has zero context about your business can walk into your office and execute the task flawlessly on their very first attempt.
Without asking a single question.
If they have to tap you on the shoulder and ask, hey, where do I find this source file, or what does this acronym mean, your SOP fails.
It ruthlessly forces operators to eliminate what we call tribal knowledge.
Tribal knowledge.
Yeah, tribal knowledge is the assumed context that only lives in your head or your team's collective memory.
If it's not explicitly written on the page, the system cannot scale.
Because what if you go on vacation?
Exactly. The moment you are sick or you hire a new person, the whole operation just grinds to a halt.
It ties back to the doctrine of repeatability.
Okay, so let's take a step back here. We've built the machine, we've engineered these highly constrained prompt chains, we've verified the truth using ladders and confidence notes.
And we've scaled the QA with leading metrics and bulletproof SOPs.
It is a massive system, but I-CORP doesn't just hand you a diploma for doing all this paperwork in a vacuum.
You actually have to prove that this entire system survives contact with reality.
Yes, the capstone requirements are where theory finally meets practice. After an operator completes their first real-world delivery, they are required to conduct an honest postmortem.
And they have to answer specific questions, right?
They do. You have to answer 5 specific questions, but the 2 most vital ones are what assumptions were wrong and what specifically would I change in the system next time.
And those answers actually go somewhere.
Exactly. They don't just go into a draw. They feed directly into a prioritized iteration backlog to update those SOPs we just talked about.
I found the honest postmortem so refreshing.
Because be real, in most corporate environments, a postmortem that only celebrates the wins and hides the messy mistakes is utterly useless.
It's just corporate theater.
Completely. You learn absolutely nothing. But the final boss of this whole I-CORP program is Capstone 2, which is the live defense.
This is where it gets really stressful.
Yeah. It is a 15-minute verbal presentation of your entire workflow and system, followed by a rigorous, unscripted Q&A with an evaluator.
And reading through the requirements for this, I was struck by how intense this is.
It's basically a grilling. Why the heavy focus on a live verbal defense?
Because the defense evaluates the ultimate final fail-safe in any AI operation.
Which is?
The human in the loop. It directly tests those foundational doctrine pillars of safety and coaching over rescuing.
The evaluator needs to know that when, not if, but when the AI inevitably produces a highly plausible, beautifully written hallucination that slips past the gates.
The operator has the intellectual discipline to catch it.
So they test for that live.
Yes. The ultimate test in that live defense is actually psychological. The evaluator will purposefully ask a highly specific, complex question that the operator cannot possibly know the answer to.
Oh man, it's a trap.
Exactly. It is a trap designed to test their integrity.
The only acceptable answer from the operator is, I don't know, but here is exactly the process I would use to find out.
What happens if they just guess?
If an operator panics under the pressure, tries to save face, and fabricates an answer out of nervousness, just like the AI does, it results in an automatic failing grade.
An immediate D. That is ruthless.
But it proves you have the absolute integrity to admit a gap in your knowledge, which is the whole point of mastering these tools.
You have to be the anchor to reality. And once you pass that gauntlet, you enter Capstone 3, where you lock in a concrete 30-day execution plan.
And you choose a track, right?
Right? You choose your path, whether you'll scale your own career on the practitioner track or start giving back and training others on the mentor track.
It is just a deeply comprehensive psychological and mechanical system designed to build ultimate trust.
Trust between the human operator, the AI models they command, and the end clients who rely on that information.
And that brings us to the core takeaway for you listening right now. You don't have to be enrolling in a formal multi-week certification to use this.
Not at all.
The I-CORP methodology isn't just for specialized AI consultants or software engineers.
Whether you are prepping for a high-stakes board meeting, writing a weekly analytics report for your boss, or just trying to catch up on a new field of research.
Applying these exact principles will completely change your relationship with technology.
It really is a paradigm shift.
By building prompt chains with ruthless critics, enforcing hard evidence gates, and keeping a running log of your assumptions, you elevate yourself.
You stop being someone who merely uses AI, and you become an elite operator who truly commands it.
It moves you from passively hoping the machine is right to structurally proving that it is.
Which leads to a final provocative thought I want to leave you with today.
If methodologies like I-CORT become the gold standard across industries, and given the risks of hallucination, they absolutely will, the future value of human knowledge workers is going to radically shift.
Oh, it's going to flip entirely.
Think about it. We will no longer be valued for our ability to simply produce content. Writing a 5-page memo or summarizing a meeting is no longer a premium skill.
The AI already does that instantly and practically for free. The creation part is commoditized.
Exactly. We will be valued entirely for our ability to authenticate reality.
So ask yourself, what happens to your industry and your specific job when AI generated is no longer a valid excuse for being wrong, but instead becomes a mandate for rigorous proof?
What happens when you can no longer blame that eager, hallucinating intern for ruining your reputation because it was entirely your job to build a fence around them?
Authenticating reality. That is the new baseline for professional survival.
Food for thought. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Well, that was interesting again. Each time I run through this as a presentation, I will ask different questions during this explanation. Feel free, if you have questions, put them in the comment section when we do this, and I'll jump in there and ask it. It's fantastic. And like they said, if you're getting into the world of AI, and you should, because eventually it's going to touch you. So it could be like, people sit there and go, oh, I wish I'd have got into Bitcoin when it first started. Well, yeah. Well, here with the I-CORP program, as it's stated in there, you can go on and take that into a corporate environment and stand out among your peers. You're so far ahead of them because you're doing as it's changing now. You can take it and start your own businesses, training, teaching. You can use I-CORP because our intention is to make it global eventually. However, right now, I'm focusing strictly on active duty military and veterans and their family members over 18. I'm doing what I can to give them an edge over everybody else when they hang up the uniform. So the next thing we're going to do here is Let's bring this up. All right. Veterans AI Learning Center. We're going to start the slideshow here. We need beta testers. I said this yesterday. We need beta testers. And I need beta testers in the worst way. Reason being is my beta testers or our beta testers, they find the bugs, they find the glitches, they know what they'd like to see or what they need. And basically, it's like any military unit. If you've got a tight, cohesive unit that's teaching one another and looking out for one another, you get better and better and better and better, especially from the special ops side of the house. Those of us that have been there understand that. So if you want to be a beta tester, please jump in, go through this. This is I-CORP phase 1. We are in the middle of phase 2, which is going to go deeper further. So let's go back to our presentation here, and we'll go through that just a little bit. All right, so what we have here is beta tester exclusive stack deck. All right, veteransAILearningCenter.com. And this will be for beta testers only. They'll be the only ones that have access to this, not general people. All right. So our mission is empowering veterans with cutting edge AI skills to lead the next wave of technological innovation, bridging military discipline with artificial intelligence. The skills that made you effective in the service, discipline, adaptability, teamwork, are the same skills that are going to make you great AI practitioners. First curriculum, it's hands-on course built for veterans by veterans. Peer learning, mentorship, and shared purpose. We're all going to do this together. Your military experience is your foundation. There's a lot of people that don't realize that. I belong to a very special military veteran organization now. It'll remain nameless. However, in the right settings, when we get together, we're about as tight a group as you can be. And it's great. And we teach one another. We learn things. We hear things. We practice things. We experience things. And as one person finds a shortcut, if one person finds some way to do something better, then we share it with everybody and we go forward. All right. So it's an interactive learning hub. AI-powered courses with real-time coding environments. No, you do not have to know how to code to do this. You do not have to have any experience to learn this. This was designed for the basic beginner who knows nothing about this. You'll see these books out on the shelves, computers for dummies, software for dummies. Well, I'm sorry, veterans aren't dummies. So it was designed at the base. You start at ground zero. The same way you did when you stepped off that bus and put your feet on them little yellow footprints. Welcome to hell. So anyway, you don't have to know the coding environments. The video walkthroughs, adaptive learning paths tailored to your pace and background. So it's not that everybody gets on Monday night at 7 p.m. and we go through a class for an hour, hour and a half, and it's your job to stay up with Joe Snuffy next door or Jody sitting behind you. No, this is your pace. It's self-paced. You learn it as you go through it. All right, AI Tool Sandbox. I've caught some feedback on that, so we're going to change that. It's going to be AI Toolbox because it's actually a hands-on playground that gives you every AI tool at your disposal to experiment with ChatGPT, image generation, prompt engineering, automation tools, and it's all in a safe environment. You can't break it. As a matter of fact, my tech crew said to put this challenge out, try to break it. Try to break it because we've spent a year building this. And we broke it. We've tried it, but we've already had a few things that we've missed. We're only human. And believe me, those of you out there that know me, I'm not a computer guru. I did this the same way a lot of you are going to do it. I started from ground zero and had to learn it, and I'm still learning as I go along and get deeper and deeper and deeper and gain more experience. So again, the challenge is come on board as a beta tester, try to break it. All right. We've got a veteran community forum. Connect with your fellow vets, share your projects, ask questions, collaborate on AI-powered solutions for real-world challenges. Who knows? You may solve the next issue that bugs the U.S. I'm not going to say about the rest of the world. I don't care about them. I care about the U.S. But you'll be able to solve real-world challenges ahead of your peers, ahead of these civilian college kids. Nothing against them, but their professors are teaching them last year's technology for tomorrow's problems. Good luck. All right. You've got a progress dashboard. Track your learning journey with skills assessment, achievement badges, which we're still creating, certification paths. If you finish this, you will be certified, and personalized recommendations. It's a great thing. Next slide's going to be just a quick through so we can get on to more important stuff. The learning tracks, you've got AI foundations, prompt engineering, and then applied AI. All these are going to come into play. All right. Why beta testers matter. And this is near and dear to me because you're not just users. You're architects of the future platform. I founded this platform. And I reached out and got help from experts. Right now, I have a good team. I've got a really good crew, but I need beta testers. I need you guys to help us build the future. All right. And as a beta tester, you get to first access to experience every new feature, course module, and tool before the public launch. You're going to go through, you're going to utilize it, you're going to find the bugs in it, you're going to try to break it, you're going to go, this is great. However, it'd be better if. Bring us those suggestions. You've got direct voice to the development crew and to my technical genius, Danny. The guy's phenomenal. I've never met anybody smarter or better. And as I said, just got done saying, you got a direct voice. feedback goes straight to the development team. You shape what gets built next. You correct the mistakes. You'll be bug hunting, identifying issues, suggest improvements. Help us build a bulletproof platform. That's my goal. I was a member of a crack, as I call it, bulletproof team. We did some great things, but we rehearsed it. We went over it. We practiced. We rehearsed it. We went over it. We practiced day in, day out, hour by hour. And then we had people try to break it. Well, that's what my beta testers are going to do. They're going to try to break it. You'll become part of the founding community, because as we build phase 2, you will actually, by name, get credit as co-creators. And you'll be lifelong members as long as you stay. The exclusive beta benefits, like I said before: lifetime founding member, free premium access for your first year, priority features and requests, exclusive beta cohort events, direct line to leadership, co-creation credit. Now, there's 18 plus million veterans out there, and God knows how many active duty. In the tech world, you can take an Army grunt, a 95 Bravo. You can take a Marine Corps grunt, 0311. Spend their entire career running around in jungles, swamps, foxholes. How do you translate that to a civilian? Well, here they come out, they actually have the opportunity, because they are part of the world's largest untapped tech pool. All right. The research I have done personally tells me that 72% of veterans want tech skills. They're seeking the technology. They're smart enough to realize that technology is the way to go when they hang up that uniform. I don't care if you did a 4-year hitch and you get out with an honorable discharge and you want to do something. Get on board. There's a $15 billion AI education market. And it's projected to be that and even more by 2028. That's just 2 years, guys. Get on it now. And stay with it, because I-CORP lives and breathes and grows with you. It's a tool. It's not going to take over anybody's job. But if you know how to guide it, direct it, and order it, it's going to do things for you. Whether you're in your own company, whether you're building custom bikes, whether you're doing carpentry as a contractor, doesn't matter what you do. You start your own company, you use these tools, you use this foundation, it'll put you leaps and bounds ahead of your competition. Make it work for you. That's what we've designed it for. AI programs nowadays are less than 5% tailored towards veterans. People don't understand veterans. Okay, I'm just going to say it. You can disagree with me if you want to, but You talk to a civilian that's never been in the military, you'll understand what I mean. The reason it's less than 5% tailored to veterans is they think we're stupid. You get a guy that spends 20 years running around jungle swamps and deserts with a rifle in his hand and a 150-pound rucksack on his back, and they think, oh, he wasn't smart enough to do anything else. That's why he was just a soldier. Boy, are they wrong. Are they really wrong? And it's your job and my job to prove them wrong. Instead of when you go in there working for them with your skills and knowledge you learn for this, pretty soon they'll be working for you. Questions and answers. We want to hear from you. This is your platform. Ask anything. What features would you like to make this platform indispensable for you? What AI topics are you most eager to learn? How can we better serve your transition goals when you're ready to hang up that uniform? And I'll go one more with you. You're already out. You don't know what to do. You know you're smarter and better than what these civilians try to give you for a piece of employment, because they don't know you. They don't know your value. They don't know your worth. They don't know your training. They don't know your education. All they know is, oh, that guy was in the military. Okay, we can give him a job here in the warehouse. Maybe he can stack boxes or something. That's not who you are. Don't let someone else define you. Beta testers, the main line for expansion. Every great platform was built by its earliest believers. You are that foundation. You've got the opportunity to be that foundation. So here we are, phase 1, foundation. Beta testers stress test core features, report bugs, validate the learning experience. Phase 2 is amplification. Beta testers become ambassadors, inviting fellow veterans and leading community threads. And personally, I say if you become a beta tester, invite your fellow veterans now. Get them in, get them involved. Phase 3, we scale platform launches publicly with beta tested, veteran approved, quality with every layer. Basically, when you sit there and tell us this is good to go, you've put your integrity and your name on it. If it's something that you helped create, your name will be on it. This was co-created by. And when it launches, it's launched because you have assured us that you've caught every bug, tried every which way to break it, and it's solid. Now, will we get hiccups along the way? Sure we will. We're human. But we know how to adapt. We know how to circumvent. We know how to correct. That's something the average civilian doesn't know and doesn't have the skills for. So here's the roadmap. First, second quarter, which we're still in 2026, the beta launch. Core AI courses go live. Beta cohort comes on board. Community forums go active. Feedback pipeline is built. That's why I need beta testers. I need this community forum to go active. I need the feedback pipeline. I need to hear from you guys. Third and fourth quarter is feature expansion. We go mentorship matching, certification paths, whichever way you're going to go. We're going to adapt and adjust, create, and guide. And we're going to teach you how to think of your AI when you get started in this as your own little pet. Will it come up with independent thinking? No. It will always need you to tell it where you want it to go, the result you're looking for, and you're always going to test it. You don't want it to go off in hallucination world, because if you don't give AI specific instructions, it'll guess. You don't want it to guess. You're the boss. You're going to tell it what to do. During the third and fourth quarter, we're going to set up employer partnerships. That's already begun, and hopefully it works out real well. The development team right now is working on a mobile app, so that if you don't have a computer or laptop and you want to continue on with your training, you just pop open your smartphone, whatever it is, and you continue on. That's going to be available. Future expansion, 2027 and beyond, is a national scale. VA partnership integration, international chapters, because we've got active duty all over the world. We've got veterans all over the world. We want to create an AI job placement hub where you take your certifications that you get from these I-CORP programs and you can show, hey, I'm an I-CORP graduate. By then, it's going to be known what I-CORP is. That's our goal. We are also, and this is something I'm spearheading, and I've already tried it and shocked myself, surprised myself really. We are going to have vet-founded AI startup companies. So instead of spending, $50,000, $100,000 to open up your own little cheap franchise of a carpet cleaner or something, it'll be equivalent to, let's say you want to start a business or take up a business. And I'll use McDonald's as an example. Just to open a McDonald's, you need $1 million. And on top of that, you need an additional $1 million liquid. Well, these vet-founded AI startups that we're building, and so far have built several, will be very inexpensive. I just tested one out. I did the research, guided my AI, and told it exactly what I wanted, what I needed, what it had to be, and it had to be veteran only. And it came up with a contract estimator company. Okay, fine. Well, here's what happened. It came up with the contract estimator company, but it also gave step by step by step instructions. And you plug it in, you're going to do contract estimating for a guy that lays blacktop. All right. So you put in asphalt contract estimation. You put in the measurements. You put in the current cost of whatever that is, and the AI will find that for you. It will find that cost for you. So this contractor, you're going to ask him approximately how many man hours are involved in this. And he'll tell you. You'll plug that in. And any other little information that your program asks you, you're going to plug it in, excuse me. Then you're going to hit execute. And it's going to come back with a whole list of things. It's going to give you your estimation to give to the contractor. Guess what? You can charge $5,000, $10,000 for that. You can say, yeah, I can do this for you, but it's going to be $3,000. If you get awarded a contract, you owe me another 10. And that's all written in there for you. Now, the one I did was, and it was an estimator, and I said for the state of Oregon. So it gave me all the different things. The shock and surprise for me came in at the very end, where it gave me a list of open state contracts that hadn't even been released to the public yet. So I could have taken that if I wanted that business. I could have taken that, done all that. The minute that contract went public, I've already got the estimation done. They don't have to know I got it before it went public. So a business like that can be adapted to any state, city, or county that you live in. All right. Now, we'd probably sell that business as a whole to somebody for $5,000. You go out into the civilian world and get something even half as good as that, you're going to pay, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a franchise. Well, guess what? A franchise you don't own, you rent. So the vet founded AI startups is going to be a huge part of our national scaling and expansion. You sit there from your house and do it. Your role in platform growth. You're going to use the platform daily. You're going to push the boundaries. You're going to try everything. You're going to submit feedback through the beta portal. No detail is too small. Hey, I was proofreading this. You guys put a comma instead of a period. Okay, we can correct that because that's perfection. That's what we're looking for. You got two words run together. You need to separate them. Okay, it's tiny, but it counts. You get to vote on future priorities and join the design sprints. We got 4 or 5 different projects on the table. Which one has priority? Which one's most important? Well, that's where the beta testers come in. Development team says, well, we're going to start with number 1 because that's where it sits up at the top. And then you guys come in and say, no, number 3 is more important. And we need this one developed first. And here's why. You get a say in that. Then you get to join it. Okay, here's why. What do you want to see in this particular project? What does it need? That's where you come in. Invite 3 to 5 veterans that you trust. Let's grow the founding circle. This thing's going to get huge. We're going to need the people. As it goes through, you become a community leader and a mentor. You help the new members come along. Just like as a young NCO, you help junior enlisted. It's the same process. Every beta tester who stays engaged becomes a founding leader with real influence over the platform's future. You are the mission. The platform exists because of you, your service, your curiosity, your willingness to lead again, this time into the future of AI. Join the Beta Center. Become part of who we are. Become part of the community. Become part of the beta community. Get your fellow veterans, your active duty guys. The platform needs you. I need you. Do what we got to do. All right. I'm going to end this for now. Again, thank you for joining. If you're watching this on the live, you put a 1 in the comments. If you're watching the replay, put a 2 in the comments. Let me know. And I will see you again on our next live.